Well, one of the many issues facing Louisiana federal representatives right now is the fight to keep that hike in flood insurance from going up in October. That's one of the many issues on their plate, and Louisiana Congressman Steve Scalise has the latest on that and other big stories that will be affecting your lives, and he joins us now in studio. Welcome.
Hey, good morning, Liz.
Good morning. Let me just start with the flood insurance first, because that is such a huge issue. October is the time it's supposed to kick in because of the changes Congress made in the summer. What are the chances an amendment will be put in place for us here in Southeast Louisiana to help keep those rates down?
I still feel real optimistic about us getting a short-term solution and a long-term solution. We were able to pass something out of the House, of course, a few weeks ago, and now the Senate's finally getting some movement as well. And there are some bills that will have to pass before the end of the year, and I think this is something we're going to be able to attach on to make sure that FEMA does not go and implement these dramatic increases in flood insurance, and let's get a system that actually works for flood. But you can't tell somebody that they're paying $500 a year today and they're going to go to $20,000 a year come the beginning of the year. It's just something that's not workable. So we're sending FEMA back to the drawing board, and I think the language that we have that we passed in the House will ultimately make it to the President's desk.
And you think it's possible, we're in July now, practically the end of July, it's possible for that to happen before it starts in October, these increases?
Right. The funding of government expires on September 30th, so there's legislation that will have to pass to deal with a number of issues in the federal government. So there are some things that have to happen. Obviously, it's hard to get anything through Congress right now, but there are a few things we are going to be getting done, and I think addressing this flood insurance problem will be one of them.
Okay, Halliburton pleading guilty to destroying evidence in the BP oil spill. Your thoughts on that?
It's a serious admission to admit to destroying evidence in a major trial where you had 11 people died, you had such devastation to our Gulf Coast. I think, number one, there is no excuse. It's reprehensible for anybody to destroy evidence in an investigation. And I think this is one more step. The Justice Department needs to keep the pressure on and hold all parties accountable that were involved in the Deepwater Horizon disaster. But especially with Halliburton pleading guilty, it shows that there is still a lot more I think we're going to find out, and this is one more step. But, you know, look, the Gulf Coast has to be restored, and part of that is getting this entire investigation concluded. I think this is another big step in that direction. Yeah,
getting transparency to obviously to make sure this doesn't happen again. Okay, let's talk health care. It impacts everyone in the U.S. The latest we heard on that was that the federal Obama administration decided to delay part of it. In other words, some businesses will have a little bit more time to provide it to their employees, but all employees will have to start buying it soon because it's going to kick in soon. But you say there's a lot of confusion as we get closer to this deadline. Are you getting a lot of calls? What are you hearing?
Yeah, one of the main topics I hear about every time I come home and talk to small business owners and families, they're concerned about health insurance and what the President's health care law is going to mean. And even though the President said that he's going to delay the employer mandate for a year, the law still says that they have to comply come January 1st. And so, you know, we've got a system of checks and balances. Our President's not a dictator. He can't just say, I'm going to ignore this part of the law. If you're a business, the law still says you have to do it. We've passed legislation in the House to say both the employer and the individual mandate will be delayed for a whole year. But there's still tremendous questions. We're seeing in Louisiana, the estimates are we're going to have a 56% increase in health insurance costs for families because of this law. So we get calls all the time. People have a lot of concerns. So on Monday at 10:30, I'm going to have a town hall meeting at East Jefferson Hospital. We have the CEO of the Louisiana State Medical Society that'll be there to also answer questions. So it's a good opportunity for people to come out, find out really what's happening with this law, and also ask questions about how it's going to affect them or their business. And so that'll be Monday at 10:30, and you can go to our website at scalise.house.gov to get all the details. But we look forward to people coming out and asking those questions and getting some good answers.
Okay, and now businesses are concerned. Some of them are saying they won't be able to afford it, especially the smaller businesses, that they won't be able to afford it. What sort of prices are we looking at for just, you know, average Americans, you know, young people, middle class?
Young people are going to be most devastated by this. We're seeing reports that young people under 40 years old, will see increases of over 300% in their health care costs. And again, there's language written into the President's health care law that force some of those increases. It's one of the many reasons I opposed the bill when it went through back in 2009. But at the end of the day, these are all things that start on January 1st, not only the mandates, both the individual mandate, the employer mandate, but also a whole array of new taxes that kick in. and they all affect families. They all affect people with health care that they like today. In fact, the White House is even admitting that there are some people that initially they promised if you have good health care, you won't lose it. If you got a doctor, you won't lose your doctor. They're actually admitting you may lose the doctor you have or the plan that you have today. So there are dramatic effects. It impacts everybody in this country. We're trying to make some reforms at the federal level, but in the meantime, people want to know what it's going to do, what the current law says, and we're going to be answering those questions Monday.
Monday, 10:30 a.m. East Jefferson.
That's right.
East Jefferson Hospital. Okay, thank you very much. Whether you're